Well, the deadline for selling memberships has passed, and now it's down to the final 4 weeks of campaigning for the 4 candidates vying to be the next leader of the Ontario Progressive Conservative Party. So far, we've spoken to 3 of the candidates. MPP and former Provincial Cabinet Minister Frank Cleese makes 4. This is Mr. Cleese's second bid for the Tory leadership, and Mr. Cleese, there you see him as he joins me now from Toronto. Frank Cleese, you've run before, and you were in and out of the race for the Canadian Alliance leadership back, I guess, in 2002. And I'm wondering now how you find this campaign compared to your previous experience.
You know, having gone through this a couple of times, Don, experience is worth something, and I'm rather enjoying this journey. We've had a very successful first stage. The membership sign-up sold more memberships than the other candidates, and now we're into the persuasion stage, and it's going very well.
So you feel, and you know how many they sold, and you know what the total number is for the party, but I'm not sure, how can you be sure you sold more memberships than anybody else in this stage of the race?
Well, it's pretty mathematical, Don. When you look at the numbers, we know that we sold in excess of 10,000. When you do the calculations based on what was there originally, what's left to divide amongst the other 3 puts us on top. And at the end of the day, of course, it comes down to who votes, who gets out to vote, and that's what we're working on now.
A party led by Frank Cleese would be different from the others in what way? What major way?
Well, decisive leadership, Don. I think that part of what I bring to the table, and by the way, my colleagues all bring their own perspective to this race. I have high regards for all 3 of them. But I bring 25 years of real-world business experience to this race. That is part of the experience that I bring that the other 3 just simply don't have by virtue of reality. And I think my experience in the real world of business is extremely important, especially during these difficult economic times. I think it's important that the Premier of this province has that sense of what it takes, not only for Ontario's recovery, but what it's going to take to unleash the entrepreneurial spirit of this province. I also have 14 years of government experience as an MPP and cabinet minister. You mentioned that. And what I take from that 14 years is a knowledge of how government works, but more important, what it is about government that doesn't work. And those are the things that I look forward to changing. And in addition to that, I have 35 years of very solid experience within our party. I was an advocate of our grassroots policy development process, which I think at the end of the day is making a significant difference in how people are looking at us as potential leadership candidates.
Okay, now I'm thinking back in some ways to your Canadian Alliance leadership bid. And my view of you is, and you tell me if I have it right, you're probably more socially conservative than at least 2 of the other candidates and maybe all 3 of the other candidates in the race. Would that be fair?
Well, Don, I've always referred to myself as a progressive conservative, and I think that
but are you a progressive, socially conservative person, or a social conservative who's a progressive conservative?
I'm a progressive conservative who believes very strongly in fiscal responsibility as well as social responsibility. And I believe that that balance is what is going to define not only my leadership, but our province, given the opportunity to lead. I think that it's important that we understand that it's important that we have fiscally responsible management of our province, which is one of the problems in our province today. 350,000 manufacturing jobs are gone under the stewardship of Dalton McGuinty. We now, just 3 weeks ago, Don, received our first welfare check from the federal government. That just isn't on for the province of Ontario.
Okay, but is it fiscally responsible to be bailing out the auto industry to the tune that Ontario and the federal government, for that matter, are? Just very briefly, Frank, we're almost out of time.
Well, I'll tell you very briefly, I believe that it's not fiscally responsible to simply put money into a company without expecting some restructuring, some transparency and accountability for whatever taxpayers' dollars go into an industry. And I believe that that is something that both the provincial and the federal government should insist on. No taxpayer wants to simply put money, good money, after bad. And so the transparency, the accountability, and the demand of a restructured auto industry should be at the forefront of any deal that's made.
Okay, Frank, we're out of time. Frank Cleese, but thanks for coming on. Good to see you.
Thank you. My pleasure.